Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing really well and having a good week so far, and welcome back to Life of an Entrepreneur. So a big topic I'm going to talk about today, which is how to price your artwork. So if you're a pet portrait and wildlife artist like me, then I'm going to cover the commission side of things. So commission prices, try and give you a guide as to like where to start if you're fairly new to them, how to start charging more, and how often you should increase your prices, just stuff like that really. And I'll also be talking about how to price any original artwork you create and want to sell, as well as kind of selling yourself as an artist. I guess for any artwork, whether that be original artwork or commissions, it all comes down to your sort of target audience and making sure your art is being seen by the right people. I think often people who buy art are willing to spend more on a completely original, authentic piece of work. So be confident in your prices and don't drop them just because someone might say they're too high. I actually think, if you remain confident in your prices, then to the customer, then that says you're confident in like your ability and your skill level to do a really good job. And then, they'll trust you to do a really good piece of art. And I think people who buy art in general, they do appreciate the time and skill that has gone into making it. So yeah, don't kind of sell yourself too short. In terms of commissions, if you're new to drawing pet portraits and you want to start selling them properly, sort of turning your hobby into more of a small business, then I'd stick with maybe 3 or 4 standard sizes and stick to a price for each one that you feel comfortable with. So maybe start off quite low. I think when I first started, I offered like a small square size, maybe 8x8 or something like that. I offered an A4 size, an A3 size, and maybe that's it actually. Maybe I just had them 3. But the A4 was the most popular because it's like your standard printer paper size. And I'm sure I charged like £40. But obviously before that I was doing them for free for like friends and family just to kind of prove that I could draw all right, I guess. And then with those photos you can kind of build up your Instagram and your socials and start charging a price for them. But yeah, start quite low and start with something that you feel really comfortable with. The client won't want to be making loads of decisions. So if you've got all the information they need in one place right in front of them, whether that's, like a really simple website or you've got the information in like the highlights of your Instagram or something like that where they can just go and see it straight away, then it just makes the whole process a lot easier. In terms of like the sizes and the prices, they don't want to be thinking, oh, what size do I want here? If you've got them, your standard sizes and your standard prices and you're sticking to that, then it's just easier for them to choose from. So like I said, I did start charging around £40 for an A4 size pet portrait, and every 3 to 6 months, I'd up my prices slightly as the commissions kept coming in. I think one thing to consider generally, if you're getting loads and loads of commissions coming through, then you're probably not charging enough. So raising your prices little and often is always a good idea as you keep kind of developing your skills, and naturally the standard of your work will improve over time anyway. So your prices should reflect that. Always try and review things every 3 to 6 months as well, or even every month if you're just starting out. Things like how many commissions you're booking in per month, how many people are inquiring, how long each size portrait takes you to complete. I've definitely sped up over the years. I used to spend forever. I used to spend like a full weekend drawing like the tiniest pet portrait, whereas now I know that I've got a lot quicker. But then at the same time, because the standard of my work has improved as well in terms of like the detail, it's still like that part still takes me quite a while. I want to make sure the quality's there, and that I'm not sort of rushing through it. But generally I would say I am quite a lot quicker than I was a few years ago. But yeah, also review like the cost of your materials and look at similar artists and see what they're doing, see what they're charging, even artists that you look up to, so you've got like an idea as to where you sort of heading in terms of your prices. So when you're raising your prices little and often, you don't want to jump from like £100 to £200, for example. I'd maybe raise them by sort of 10 or 20% every 3 or 6 months. So it's a gradual increase over time. Because, it's, if someone had booked in a portrait, say an A4 portrait for £100, for example, 1 month, then 3 months later they decided they wanted to book in another one, and he said, oh, my prices have increased. It's now £500 for an A4. They'd be like, what, in 3 months' time? So yeah, make sure the price increase isn't huge. Just do little and often, and then over time, as your work improves, your prices will keep going up and reflect that. Discount codes is another thing that I wanted to talk about. So sometimes I feel like when people do discount codes too often, it can kind of like devalue your work in a way. Obviously around like Black Friday and Christmas, or if you've just released something like on your website shop, a collection of work or prints or whatever it may be, then, you know, quite a lot of people do a discount code, myself included. Like I think it does help in terms of sales. But if you're doing them all the time, like every week or 2 weeks, I think it definitely devalues your work. And like I said before, you want to remain confident in your prices and kind of stick to them for as long as you can. So I think be patient when it comes to sales, but be smart with your marketing. So pick the right time to do those discounts. So in terms of original artwork, so not commissions, original artwork is like something that you've, you know, created for yourself, not a commission. So again, consider the hours that you've put into it, the cost of your materials, your paper, your pencils, the size of it, equipment for filming, framing, packaging, postage costs, plus probably 50 other things that I've not thought of. But you need to factor all that in. And when people are figuring out how much they should charge for an original piece, some people even do it by the hour. So they ensure that they're earning like an hourly wage on top of all of these cost factors as well. So that's one way to do it. Or again, like I say, just have a look at artists that are doing similar things to you, or sort of factor in all your costs, come up with an initial price. You want to feel like you're getting a lot of value for what you've done, because at the end of the day, that artwork is like skilled time. So you want to make sure that you're getting paid fairly for that. Art is so subjective though. Like honestly, someone might have spent 3 years doing something and they might charge like, say, £50,000. Another person might have done like a really conceptual idea, something really dead simple, and it's clever, but it's like nothing in terms of like technique or skill in terms of like the traditional artist, and it might be going for millions. So it's just crazy to me how like the range of art. I don't know, I feel like what annoys me is that super contemporary galleries these days will have like all sorts of conceptual art priced at thousands or millions, and it's all based off an idea, which is fine because sometimes it can be really clever and you know, it depends what it is. But I think art generally means something different to everyone. I think for me there's way more value in developing a skill or a technique and then executing that through a painting or a drawing. And obviously it can have meaning behind it, but the time and the skill is where like the value is for me. I think a lot of people can agree and sort of appreciate that side of art. And considering I went to uni and studied fine art, you think I'd have swayed more towards the conceptual side of art and gone down that route. But I guess I'm just more traditional in that sense. I think because I was doing pet portraits throughout the whole time of being at uni, and that's what I enjoyed. I think I've just always stuck with the traditional like painting, drawing style. I can appreciate a really like realistic painting or drawing when walking around a gallery, because I think like, wow, they must have spent hours or months perfecting every single detail, and like the skill level is crazy. Whereas I don't seem to be as interested in like the performative side of art or really simply executed artwork that might have a really good idea behind it. And like I said, it might be really clever how they've done it. But personally, I can't really be bothered to read like the whole backstory all about it. I think I'm naturally more drawn to like the visual art and like how something looks, as well as like the whole time and skill level of something. For me, that's where the value is, and for a lot of other people that's the same. But then yeah, everyone kind of has their own opinion as to what like good, valuable art is. So you can't please everyone. But yeah, that's kind of my whole point. So someone might think that you're charging way too much, and someone else might think that you're not charging enough. So it's important to use social media to your advantage and make sure your work is being shown in front of the right people. I suppose you could do like targeted ads, like Facebook ads. You could do an email list, so you're targeting specific people that you know are interested in your work. You could even like hand out business cards like in person at certain events where you know a lot of animal lovers will be, or like pet owners. There's loads of like dog events and stuff these days. We've taken Bella to a few, but she doesn't like other dogs, so she doesn't really have the best of times. But yeah, hopefully that's given you some ideas on pricing with both commissions and original work. Slightly different angle on the topic I've been talking about today, but I just wanted to touch on the other side of selling artwork, which is selling yourself, because there's always like two sides to it, like the artwork and the artist. First thing I want to say is that the quality of your content and social media growth and engagement can open up so many doors. I'm doing more like influencer-y things now, which when I started being an artist, I definitely didn't think I'd be doing anything like this. But I guess the more that you grow, the more value you have to other brands and stuff. So that's how you do like collaborations and everything like that, because they see value in your audience and you know that you can kind of influence them in a positive way but authentic way. So I've got a really exciting brand collaboration coming up, and they're sponsoring one of my upcoming YouTube videos. And last week I went to Trenton Monkey Forest for a meeting to talk about their whole marketing campaign for when they turn 20 next year. And both places or both brands have sort of left it up to me in terms of how much I want to charge them. Obviously, I'm doing different things for both things. So for the brand, I'm doing a sponsored YouTube video, so I'll be sort of promoting their brand and their service. And for the Trenton Monkey Forest, I'm kind of in their whole marketing campaign, so I'll be doing a workshop. They're commissioning me to do a portrait of a macaque. I'm going to do some little sketches like in with the monkeys, and there's a lot of different ideas going on. We've not kind of confirmed or finalised anything yet, but that's the basic gist. So two very different things, but they've both sort of asked me, what's your price? And it's kind of up to me, and I'm like, I don't even know where to start. And like, it is difficult because when you've not really done anything like this, or every single opportunity is very different, it's like what do you go off? Like, how do you know what to charge? So some brands who want a paid promotion will ask for your like rate and a time scale on creating like an Instagram reel or a YouTube video. And other places like the Trenton Monkey Forest opportunity that I've got is slightly different because I'm going to be doing a multitude of things for them. But one thing to know is that there is so much money out there. So for example, £1,500 to us might feel like a lot. That might be the price of a commission or 2 or 3 commissions combined that takes you like weeks to complete. But to a brand, depending how like established they are, how big they are, is probably that's probably nothing. £1,500 is literally nothing. So I'd always start a lot higher than you might think. And best case scenario, they say yes. Worst case scenario, they say no, but hopefully you can kind of negotiate from that. I'd never sell yourself short, and only work with brands who your like values align with, so you stay authentic and true to your audience. There's been other collaborations and stuff that I haven't really gone with or agreed to because it doesn't really align with anything that I'm sort of doing. I'd rather promote something that I'm already using or that I kind of recommend all the time anyway, because it's just far more authentic to my audience. They know that I'm not just promoting something random. So if you do get into working with brands and doing collaborations, some people prepare a media kit, which is basically like a document or a visual document, being a creative person, which says like who you are, what you do, your values, your following across multiple platforms, and other stats like social media engagement, so the brand can see sort of everything in one place and see if you're a good fit for them. I'm still all very new to all this, but I think that's mainly used when you're the one approaching the brands, and luckily they've kind of all approached me so far. There's been like a few that I've approached, but I've not really used the media kit that I've just been talking about. So it's kind of been up to me as to what I want to charge. Something that I'm still figuring out because each one is something completely different. But there is a lot of money out there, so whatever you're thinking, triple it, and that's your rate. So I hope you found this episode helpful in terms of things to consider when pricing your artwork, ways of getting seen by the right people, selling yourself, and things to think about if you do get a brand collaboration in the future. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of Life of an Artrepreneur. Please give it a thumbs up if you watch the video on YouTube, and remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel to see more podcast episodes, artist vlogs, and tutorials. And if you've been listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, then I'd love it if you could leave a review. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back next week with a brand new episode of Life of an Artrepreneur. So I hope you all have a lovely rest of your week.